recording here. Okay, I think we started recording. All right. Hey, y'all. Good evening. I'm Allison Caldwell. For those of y'all that don't know me, Senior Ruby Ambassador with Plexus. And one of the things that I've struggled with, and I've done really well, and I've also done really poorly throughout my 3.5-ish, almost 4 years in Plexus, has been mindset. I've had times where I get it right and I do a great job, and I've had other times where I just let it totally run me instead of me taking charge of it. So I feel like sharing the things that I've learned and things that speak to me, it helps me stay on track with it too. So I'm glad y'all are here, and I hope this helps out a little bit. But I think the first thing that I have to remember when I'm worried about, like, okay, where is my head at? What's going on, in life? Every day is different, right? Every day is a new day, though, because whatever happened yesterday, whether it was good or bad, it's done. So maybe you're going through detox. Maybe you're, feeling better than you have in years. Maybe your team has just like gone dead in the water. Maybe you have full momentum and everything's going nuts. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It's just done that next day, everything starts over, right? So if you kind of try to get your mindset right that next day, instead of letting whatever happened the day before just kind of sweep you along, you're going to end up riding waves, I guess, of mindset of you're going to do well and not well, and then you're going to do well and you're going to do not well, just depending on what happened in your day. And like I said, that's something that I've struggled with. So remembering that when I wake up, it's fresh and new. I have to take charge of the day. You have to take charge of your day. You have to get up and decide that what you're going to put in right away is going to set that tone. That's going to be what fills you up for the day, so that you can, get through the rest of it without fluctuating as much. When it comes down to it, like, really your mindset, that's the only thing you fully control, right? It kind of goes hand in hand with your feelings, with your emotions, but that's what you control. You don't control what anyone else is doing. You don't control what's happening around you. Even the things that you kind of feel like you might have some control over, it's really minimal. All you really truly have control over is yourself. And of course, that's like even worse right now with everything that's been going on these past few months and COVID stuff, and everybody's living in fear, and it's so hard to not let that kind of take over your mindset and your thoughts. But we're not called to live in fear. We're not called to live in fear. The Bible says it, over 365 times or something, to do not fear and to not be afraid. So we're not called for that. We're called to be the light. We're called to, shine that light to other people and to have that positivity and that better mindset. And we can't do that if we're not in the right place, right? If we're not taking care of our own mindset, we're not going to be able to help anyone else. So if you're thinking things like, oh, my body's against me, everything I do doesn't work, it doesn't really matter what I eat, it just, I just always end up feeling bad, this isn't working, that's not working, whatever it is. And that's just, generally things that mostly like customers or wholesalers might be thinking. If business wise, you might be thinking like, oh, well, they're never doing anything, well, this isn't happening, and that person won't talk to me, and and there's all of this going on in your head. But what you might not realize is that your brain is going to kind of make whatever you're feeding it come true. So if you're sitting there saying, well, nothing's happening and no one's doing anything and I don't know what's happening, then guess what? Your actions, your feelings, your thoughts, all of that is, your brain's going to make it all line up. Like, it's going to come to a point where the things that you're saying, the things that you're doing, it's all going to come around and make that belief come true. So you have to be very careful that you're not setting yourself up to just continue down the same path. And you have to be very intentional about what you're doing. So of course that's easier said than done. Like, you don't want to be in your head and be that friend that's like flaking out on you, and the friend that's never there when you ask, and the friend that's like, oh, well, you're not going to succeed in that, you're not going to be good enough for that. Like, you wouldn't want to do that to yourself. But that tends to be like what goes on in most of our heads if we don't intentionally change it, right? Like we have those thought processes. And according to, it was Kyle Rainey, sorry, y'all, I took notes because I'm a talker and I got to stay on task. According to Kyle Rainey on a call I was on the other day, he said the first step that you want to do is realize how you're being influenced. And that's kind of the same thing I was talking about before with starting your day intentionally. What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you thinking about? I mean, we're all being influenced all the time, whether it's social media or our books or music or friends, who you're hanging out with, who you're talking to. All of that kind of stuff is influencing you one way or another. Some of it's good, some of it's not good. Ideally, we've got more good than bad, right? But you have control over what you're consuming and what influences you're letting in there. But basically, everything that's happened up until right now, every day, it's all prepared you to use what God's given you. So if you're kind of feeding into that and you're using these positive things and you're using, maybe you're getting up and you're doing a devotional, maybe you're listening to praise and worship music, maybe you're, just meditating a little bit. Maybe you're listening to something else inspirational. Whatever that is for you, that's what's preparing you to go forward, because we're all gifted and given different talents, different things that we can use. And even when they're sort of the same basic idea as someone else's, like, let's say someone's good with numbers. Well, you might be too, or maybe they're a great motivator and maybe that's your gifting too. But guess what? Everything that's happened to you up until then is going to be delivered in a different way. Your information is going to come across differently. Your energy is going to come across differently because you have different life experiences coming into it. So you can't just say, well, oh, so-and-so has whatever talent. So, that's probably not what I really need to be worried about. Well, you need to worry about you, about your talents, your giftings, the things that you have control over, because that's what other people need. Other people need your gifting. They need what you have to offer because that's why you were given these gifts, right? So it's easy to kind of get into, the comparison and the jealousy and things like that when you're kind of not really terribly sure about your gifts or maybe what you're supposed to be doing. And so you kind of start looking around and you're like, oh, but she's really good at that, or she does this, or that person's here and I want to get there. And it's normal to feel a little bit of jealousy. So I don't want you to sit and think, okay, well, I can't have any of these like negative connotation thoughts. Like you can't have anything like that. You can, but you can use them for different things. So if you're kind of falling into that comparison and you're starting to look at what somebody else is doing, then use it to fuel you, because guess what? That person didn't just naturally get there, right? They've done things, they've worked on themselves, they've worked on their mindset, they've done other things to get there. And we can all do something similar. They've used certain tools, strategies, whatever, to get wherever you're looking at, or whatever you're looking at that you're like, gosh, I really wish that was me in that position. Well, use it to fuel you. Figure out what that person used to get there, and then you can do that. So like I said, most of the time when you're looking at somebody and wanting to either be where they're at or have what they have, they've taken the time to do self-reflection. And they've taken the time to look and see, okay, what kind of mindset do I really have? And how is that working for me? So mindset can really be either fixed or growth. Those are basic fundamentals of mindset. If you have a fixed mindset, then you tend to believe that intelligence and talent are fixed. You believe that your effort could be fruitless, like nothing might happen. You tend to believe that failures define who you are. You tend to hide flaws, avoid challenges, ignore feedback, because most of the time, if you're in a fixed mindset, that feedback feels like personal criticism. And you tend to feel threatened by other people's success. And that, I've been there. I know what that fixed mindset is like, and it does not serve you well, and you can't serve others in that mindset. So the flip side of that is the growth mindset. And that's something that again, we work on, but it's a constant process. So growth mindset, you believe that intelligence and talents can be developed. You believe that effort is the path to mastery. So like you have to actually work at things in order to get good at them, right? You don't just show up and be good at it. Fixed mindset assumes you're either good or not. Growth mindset, you work at it and you can learn to be good at it. You believe that mistakes are part of learning, and failure is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to say, you know what, that didn't work. Let's try something different. Failures are also temporary. Just because you failed at something, it doesn't mean that it's permanent. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that things aren't going to work in the future. You just keep trying. Growth mindset people tend to embrace challenges, and they welcome feedback, and they see other people's success as inspirational. And that doesn't mean that you don't have, like what I was saying earlier with the jealousy mindset or jealousy thoughts. Like it doesn't mean you don't have stuff like that, but a growth mindset person is using that as a tool to say, okay, how can I do what this person did? Because they figured it out. They learned things, they did things, they changed things. I can do that. That's a growth mindset. In network marketing, specifically, a fixed mindset might look like, well, I've talked to everyone I know. I mean, I don't have anybody else. My market's just tapped. I'm done. Yeah, well, lots of people join in the beginning. You kind of got to get in early, and it's after that, it's just not realistic. Or you have to be like so-and-so to be successful, pick a diamond, whatever. You have to be like that person. But none of those things are going to serve you, because those are not ways to grow and ways to change. Instead of, I've talked to everyone I know, think about, well, what are some ways that I can find new people to connect with? Because obviously you're missing an avenue of connection if that's what you've got going on. Instead of thinking that things are really, really hard, you're like, okay, well, this is going to take some work and some effort, but it's going to be worth it. Maybe she's really smart, or she's really whatever, and I'm not. That's a fixed mindset. Growth mindset would go, well, you know what? I'm going to figure out how she learned all that and how she did that, because I can do that too. So changing that mindset is, like I said, it's a challenge, and it's a daily process. And if you're like me, you've probably done it not well just as often or more often than you've done it right. But we're all growing and getting better, and that's what's more important. And when you're doing those kinds of things, you have to think about what we're trying to do as influencing other people. If we're influencing others and we are not in a growth mindset, what are we really influencing them on? What are we pouring into their lives? Is it giving value to anybody? Probably not, because you're not helping them to see potential in anything, much less themselves. Because if you're not seeing it in you, you're not seeing how you can grow and how you can see things with open-ended possibility. You can't inspire other people to do the same. So really, really important to do when you're influencing others. Another thing that Kyle Rainey said on the call the other day was the 3 enemies of influence, which I thought was kind of important to see, because these are things that you really, really, really want to make sure that you don't have on that repeat in your head, right? Insecurity was one of the biggest ones. Your self-worth affects your influence, whether it's good or bad, whether you feel like, you know what, I have so much to offer people. Maybe it's knowledge, maybe it's caring, maybe it's fun, maybe it's enthusiasm and inspiration. It doesn't matter what it is. You have things to offer people. You are valuable in that. And if you're not believing that, it's really hard to influence other people in a positive way. Scarcity is another one of the enemies of influence. Scarcity mindset basically says that, well, everybody that's successful is already there. The people that got in early got it, and just kind of, there's not enough to go around. Or for me, when I started with network marketing stuff, gosh, almost 20 years ago, it was more like, well, I have to find all the people, because what if so-and-so chooses to do something else? And you know what? It doesn't matter. And I finally, over the last couple of years and being with Plexus, have learned that, you know what? It's okay. Not everybody's going to want to do this, and that's okay. There are other businesses. There's other success. I would rather cheer people on and know that I have something amazing. And if they are part of this same belief and value system, and they have a passion for the same things that we do, then they'll join us. And that's awesome. But they're not going to want to do it if you feel like you're scrambling to catch everybody, right? If you're just loving everybody and you're offering it all and you're cheering everybody on, there's enough success to go around everywhere. And the last one is negativity. And that one, I loved his verbiage because he's like, that is the scariest virus out there. And right now, when everybody's scared of a virus, right? Like, negativity is the real virus that we should be scared of, because that does so much damage, and it can actually do physical damage as well as, with your emotions and your mental state and everything. But you're the only one that can change these things. Like, it's on you to change it. Nobody else can do it for you. Nobody else is responsible for what you're putting out there. If your energy is good, if you've been working on mindset and you're like, you know what, this is awesome. I am so proud to be in network marketing. I'm so proud of this company. I'm so proud of our products. And you really come out with that energy. Then guess what? When you're like, you know what, I can help you with that. And people are like, oh, really? But if you're kind of like, well, I could help you with that. That's like what I do. And then your energy is totally different if you're not buying into what you fully believe. Your energy has everything. I can have and I have had the exact same conversation with people, and I will have a completely different outcome based on what my energy is. And it took me a while really to learn that and to grasp it and understand that when I'm in a good place, my conversations go better, even when I'm using the same words. They can tell somehow that energy is coming through even when you're typing. So do whatever it takes to get yourself in a good place when you're talking to people beforehand. And that might be, dancing around to a song. That might be, just saying a few things. That might be listening to a prayer. My mom and I were talking about that earlier. Listening to a prayer to get your day started. And anything that gets you in that good mindset is really, really, really important, just in life and in your business. So the last thing that I wanted to kind of cover, if I can figure out the order of my papers, because I just meshed them all up, is the affirmations. And I think I put them up here. Affirmations. There we go. Found my paper. Sorry. So affirmations are one of the most important things that you can do, because that helps you change your beliefs. Like I said, whatever it is that's playing on repeat in your head, whatever you're believing, your actions and your thoughts and your energy are going to kind of bring that into line, and you're going to end up creating that. So if you've got negativity running in your head, you're creating negative outcomes. If you're working really hard to create other stuff, then you're going to be, doing the things that line up with that. So writing affirmations is huge and amazing. It really, really gets you like over that hurdle with the mindset. So writing them, I'm going to give you 7 steps on how to write affirmations. So number 1 is start with the words I am. Those are like 2 of the most powerful words in the English language anyway, and God has used it to describe himself. I am. He is the great I am. So you're all like, you want to use that, like grab a hold of that power. Like, I am successful. I am influential, whatever it is that you are, say it in the present tense, not I'm going to be, or I want to be. No, I am. It's happening. Claim it, own it. That's step 1. Step 2 is, well, okay. So I just kind of like went into step 2, got ahead of myself. Use the present tense. So step 2 is using the present tense, because you're claiming it and you're owning it. And this is happening, not I want it to, or whatever. Number 3 is you're always going to be positive about it. You're stating it in the positive. So you don't want to say, I'm not something else, or I don't want to, whatever. Change that around and make it an actual positive statement. So you're affirming what you do want. You're not affirming what you don't want. Number 4 is keep it brief. You want these to be easy to remember, easy to say. Number 5 is make it specific. So you really want to be very, very specific. You don't want to say, I'm healthy. Okay, that's great. Being healthy is awesome. How are you healthy? I am healthy because I work out every day. I eat, a balanced diet. I take my supplements, and I drink all my water. That's specific. But otherwise, you're not giving yourself enough information. So you got to give it, enough detail so that you really understand it. But you don't want to be too long-winded like I tend to get anyway. Number 6 is include an action word ending in ing. So I am whatever it is. I am working hard every day. I'm sending out my messages and getting amazing responses. Whatever that is, make it an action. And of course, you can do multiple sentences. This isn't like a one sentence thing. Like you can do multiple affirmations, but these are just guidelines for them. And the last one, number 7, is to include at least one dynamic emotion or feeling word. So you would want that to, be like, I'm energetic, I'm influential, like those kind of things that bring that emotion into it, because when you tie that in, it becomes more personal and becomes more important to you. So those kind of things are fabulous. You can use those with your family. I mean, I use them with my son when he's dealt with some really tough stuff and a lot of negative thoughts. And we talk about those. We talk about affirmations. Like, this stuff is amazing, not just for business. It's amazing for everything. So I really just want to encourage you to use those. I want to encourage you to take a few minutes to really kind of assess where you're at with your mindset. And if you're not at that point of going, you know what, I am all in with belief in myself. Like, maybe you believe the products are great. Maybe you believe the business is great, but maybe you're like, but can I do this? The answer is yes. First of all, yes, you can, but you have to figure out why and how. It's not about whether you can or can't. You have to figure out why you want to do it and how is flexible. Like, you get it done the way that works for you. And that's fine. That's good. Do it the way that works for you. But if you need help with getting your head in the right place, reach out to your leaders, reach out to all of us, and let us help you with that, because we certainly are not perfect at this. Like I said, this is something that I've gotten wrong and gotten right, but it's so, 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 so important to work on continually. So anyway, that's what I've got for y'all tonight. So thank y'all for hopping on. I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to stop the recording and then we can chat and questions. You can unmute yourself or whatever.